Sí, aqui fala Cristiano, quem fala?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dol Benfica podcast, episode number 130. With me tonight, as always, Mr. Steve Santos. What's going on, Steve?
I'm not going to say it. Not this week.
Not this week?
Not this week.
Wait until you at least have the T-shirt.
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good, good. And Cristiano Oliveira.
What's up, everybody? You gotta let me know, man. I was practicing the whole mic stand stuff, and you just crept up on me. But another night, another podcast. Steve won't say it. I'll say it. Welcome once again to another Benfica podcast, and we'll get into Twitter a little bit later on.
Yeah. On tonight's agenda, we will break down the Covilhã game. We'll also look ahead to Monaco game and the Braga game that comes up this weekend. So, without further ado, let's get it right into the Covilhã game. Benfica traveled into the Serra to play Covilhã with Leões de Serra. I'll give you the lineup real quick. Artur, Almeida, César, Lisandro, Benito across the back. Almeida was actually the captain. Cristante, Pizzi were in the middle. Then we had Thiago or Bebe or whatever you want to call it. John on the other side, and then Jonas and Derlei up front. And as expected, Steve, a huge revolution in the starting 11.
Yeah. Instead of rotating a few players, I think Jesus rested a whole team or a whole roster. A lot of the guys that came in don't even make them the game roster, like Cesar and whatnot. So it was a good opportunity to see a lot of guys that aren't going to get much playing time and haven't got much playing time to see what they could offer to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cristiano, we had talked about Luizão playing against Iran and Salvio playing against Iran, and
they didn't
coincidentally
play. They didn't play when it mattered.
Against Covilhã.
Yeah, exactly. They did not play when it mattered. But you know what? I like the changes that they made. It was good to see some of these kids finally get some run. Unfortunately, Ola John, a guy that everybody's pretty much fallen back in love with over his performances over the last couple of weeks, came off with an injury. But the one thing we got to see was the kid Guedes. I can forget his first name. Gonçalo Guedes came in as a 17-year-old man, and he played spectacular for a 17-year-old. Obviously, must have been nervous making his first professional appearance, if I'm not mistaken. At least the first appearance of the season, and the guy played well above the average, well above everyone else. But the one thing that we did see in this one game was just the spectacular play of my main man Jonas, a guy that.
Peraí, já lá vamos. Já lá vamos. I know you want to brag about Jonas, and I know you want to rub it in my face.
No, it's one game.
How good Jonas is. And how good he is playing against Covilhã, but we'll get into it.
We've already started, so let's go on this Jonas wave. Let's go on this Jonas wave. That finish that everybody is all big on, the one from the first time crossfield pass from
Cristante, fantastic pass.
Great pass.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched that goal 3 times now, maybe more than that, and I'm convinced it comes off his shin, not off the outside of his boot.
Listen, that's fine, but you know what the difference is? A lot of other guys would have chipped it over the net or killed it to hit the goal, the corner kick flag. The fact of the matter is that he put it in the back of the net. And what I was going to finish with, I'm going to finish when I initially started, which was very simple. I was getting ready to finish, which was we saw from the first minute of the game to the last minute of the game, and that was that Jonas was 2, 3, 4 levels above anyone else on that pitch.
Whoa. Espera aí, we're playing Covilhã here, second division team, a team that's mid of the table.
How did your boy Derlei do against that team?
A team that actually has lost to Benfica B this season. I mean, the guy is definitely above a couple levels above everybody else. I'm not taking that away from the guy, but this is Covilhã we're talking about. So I'll give him a couple more games, see where he's at. And to be honest with you, and you mentioned Derlei, I'm disappointed with a couple guys. First of all, I don't know if it was the braçadeira de capitão on André Almeida. I don't know if that shit just weighed him down too much. It's probably the worst game I've ever seen André Almeida play. Cesar Lisandro, I don't think they had too much work. I think Artur didn't have much work. But Steve, Benito, com caralho. Damn.
Okay, Benito is just another left back in the long tradition of poor left backs that we've had. I was watching this game and I was like, I was remembering a certain interview with it's João Alves, right? Luvas Pretas from the 80s that played for Benfica.
Yeah.
He's a coach in Switzerland now, and he was on Bola Branca in the summer when Benito was supposed to come over to us, and he says, Benito's an okay player. He's good, but he's never gonna be a crack. And I was like, yeah, definitely never gonna be a crack. He's mediocre at best. Even good is stretching it. But that being said, I think as bad as he is, we dealt with a certain Emerson for a full season, and I think he's better than Emerson. So.
No, and in his defense though, he screwed up on that first goal. I mean, he obviously could have done 1,000 times better than what he did on that goal when he failed the interception. Swing and a miss, kind of like in baseball. But after that, I thought the guy played reasonably well. I don't think he was terrible. He wasn't like you mentioned, Steve. He wasn't no Emerson the rest of the game.
I thought he had a couple bright spots, and that was about it. I mean, for a guy of his caliber playing against the Couvliens, I thought he was pretty bad. But I thought that there was a few guys that were pretty awful too. Cristante wasn't really, I don't know exactly. I wasn't at the field to see his movements and what he did, but I didn't think he was that showy in the game. I was certainly impressed with Pizzi for a guy that's been kind of an adaptation, and it looks like a pet project of JJ. I was impressed by him. I don't know, Steve, what did you think about Pizzi?
It's funny. You can look at Pizzi and you can compare him to Enzo because they're kind of doing the same adaptation from a winger or a more attacking player going to a more box to box or number 8 like player. And when Enzo was first in that first process of adaptation, his first few games at center midfield, you would see Enzo hold on to the ball a lot. He would really try to run past players and relieve pressure by doing that. But Pizzi's a different type of player. I don't know if it's because he's not as big and as strong as Enzo, but he wants to release the ball a lot quicker. He wants to get the ball, put his head up, and pinpoint a pass, where Enzo was different. But the one thing that I think Enzo definitely had, one of many things that Enzo had superior over Pizzi is that little bit of aggression, that raça. Pizzi's missing that. Even Jesus in his interview with Record the other day, he said Pizzi's still a little bit fragile in the defensive phase, and I think that's a very good way to put it. I think he's missing that extra bit of level, that extra bit of fitness and strength, and the Portuguese like to call it like poder de choque. He can kind of bounce off of players and whatnot, and he doesn't have that. He's still a little bit too thin.
Mm-hmm. I think you bring up great points. The one thing he's not, like you said, he's a polyvalent, a guy that's not box to box. We're talking about a guy that was used to playing at winger, or a guy that played in the middle of the park free, a guy that was just there, create the ball, touch it around, do what you could do, and try to score goals. And all of a sudden, he was asked the other day to play in a I guess, for lack of a better word, in a responsible position, where you have to do a little bit of both. And I don't think he was up to par. I don't think he was. He had flashes, yes. He had a couple of great opportunities. He had a couple of great plays in there. But I thought, he lacked. He wasn't the player that I expected to see in this game. But like you said, Steve, it's because he was not playing in his usual customary position. The other guy that I felt it was a little bit disappointed with, and a guy like Alfredo keeps saying, is Covilhã. Well, then, if you go based on that, Bebe should have done a lot better than what he did. I thought Bebe was atrocious in the first half. In the second half, he picked it up a little bit. Once he switched wings with Guedes. He had a couple of flashes, and you see what he could do. But to me, this is a guy that you hear so much from, and you would at least expect him to dominate a team like Covilhã.
But wait a second. Go ahead, Steve.
You've never heard good words come from this podcast about Bebe.
Never heard good words from this podcast
about the guy.
about Bebe.
Hey, Alfredo, I'm excited.
Does he have raw talent? Yes.
I'm excited about him.
Is he a player? No, he's not a player. He's got raw talent.
Bebe without pace would be a player in the Distritais. If that, he'd be playing for some cafe team somewhere. That's it. Because if he didn't have that power and that pace, forget it. There's no.
Yeah, but he didn't even show that. He didn't even show that power and that pace in the first half. In the second half, he did with a couple opportunities.
Couple flashes.
Yes, but that was it. And I agree with you, Steve. I think you give me Bebe's speed. I'm 10 times better than Cristiano Ronaldo.
You give my grandmother Bebe's speed, and she'll score goals with her cane all day long.
Then she'd be playing hockey with a cane, or like field hockey.
Or polo. No, but we The guy's got raw talent. But JJ has said that the guy never had a proper formation. He hasn't gone through the proper steps of evolution as a player, and you can't really expect the guy to become a player overnight. And at whatever age he is right now, I very much doubt that he's going to become a player in 2-3 years. But the raw talent is there, and if he's worked correctly, maybe we could take advantage of some of that raw talent. Maybe he could be a Quaresma. Maybe he could come in 15 minutes and destroy a team in 15 minutes.
No, I have faith. I have faith that, like you guys like to call, and it's funny because I like the nickname you guys give Jorge Jesus, which is JJ. Seems like I'm talking like about a buddy of mine that lives down the shore somewhere. But JJ, I think he has the ability to make the Bebe into a player because we see him do with other guys. So I do believe at some point, Alfredo, that this guy will develop into something reasonable that you could at least count on as a starter. I don't know if it's this year, obviously. I doubt it. Maybe next year, but like Jorge Jesus said in his last interview, Steve, which was he likes to have 3 years with a player before he says that this player is ready to go on and play.
And what happened to Yannick?
He's at San Jose Earthquakes. He's tearing it up.
And what happened with the 3 years with him?
No, but those 3 years were all like 2 months in the summer for preseason. Yeah. That ain't count. That ain't count.
Anyway, but turning our attention from the guys with less of an impact to a guy that at the age that he was and the way he came into the game. And I know this is a team that he's played against before, but Steve, Gonçalo Guedes, man, 17 years old, kid comes in, not afraid to take people on, straight at people, making the runs, put it in the work. Man, I'm impressed by this kid, man.
Same here. And I'm going to quote JJ yet again. And JJ says that Gonçalo Guedes is a couple of years ahead of schedule, both physically, because he's not no little runt of a boy. He's well built. He's a powerful athlete, and both his tactical understanding of the game and his touch and whatnot. So for me, after watching that game, it coincides with what JJ said. You have a player that can come inside and play off his teammates. You have a player that knows how to incorporate his fullback and knows how to beat his players one-on-one. But the only thing that I didn't like too much about Guedes is it seemed like that final ball was always lacking. And that hopefully that will come with age, with a little bit more experience, a little bit more calmness. But it seemed like a cross was always not very well hit. The through ball, the idea was right, but it wasn't well hit. So hopefully that will come with age.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, yeah.
He's definitely a promise for the future. He's a player that I was excited to see, and what I was always hearing that is he could play as a striker as well. But the more I see it, I'm not sure that's going to happen.
But guys, here's the question. When you're talking about a player that will definitely be useful in the future and it needs more playing time, the question is, will it be at Benfica? And to me, that's a huge question mark. Will it just be another Bernardo Silva situation where you're going to loan this guy out and hopefully he develops, hopefully, he comes back?
Yeah, as of right now, he's getting more opportunities than Bernardo Silva would have gotten. Because if you read his latest interview, he said he had a talk with JJ, and JJ really said that his opportunities weren't really going to be there, and he wanted to play. He felt that he was at the stage where he needed to go out and get some playing time, and so
I thought it spoke volumes once Olajan got hurt. I figured right there would be the great opportunity, the right opportunity to bring in a guy like Nelson Oliveira. And when I saw 17-year-old Guedes get ready to come in, I said, I don't know if this speaks more about Guedes or if it speaks about Nelson Oliveira. So
yeah, but that also shows the confidence that JJ has, that he puts Guedes on the left wing, and he knows that the kid can play there rather than a guy up front, which is more suited for Nelson Oliveira. He also probably didn't feel like he should take Jonas out of the middle and bring him to the wing.
They switched up a little bit.
They switched a little bit, but as you you pointed out to me in the text, saying that Jonas, when Jonas was pulled out of the middle, his participation in the game definitely went down, and that was noticeable.
Absolutely, and that's when Covilhã came back and started having a little bit more possession of the ball, and they scored a couple goals. But I think Jonas is the guy that can make it all happen for this Benfica. And
no, I love it.
Right now,
guys.
I'm just being honest. Right now, I think it's great things on the horizon. I think Lima, if you pair Lima with the Jonas, I could see a lot of goals coming from there. Now, you add Gaetan, you add Talisca, you add Salvio. I think that speaks volumes for this team. I think this team has a lot of firepower as to when we came into When we came into to August and started selling off everybody, we didn't actually think that that was the case.
Eu tô fun, pá, atento, pá. This is why we do this live, because you can never, it's not scripted. You can never expect you never know what to expect.
I'm just gonna jump on the
Go ahead,
Jonas
Steve.
Naglin with Cristiano, and Jonas, to me, players like him with that technical ability, with that vision of the game, they have to play in the middle, and that's just the way it's got to be. When he went to the left-hand side, it's just like Gaetan. We always think that Gaetan can give us a little bit more in the middle than he does on the left. It's the same idea, but without trying to really get on Cristiano's good side, for me and my kind of football, Jonas is our 10 or 9.5, not Talisca. But I don't see Jesus doing that. Not that quick.
Yeah. Well, you never know. You never know. We'll see what how he intends to play Jonas. Obviously, he can't play the Champions League. Maybe he'll rotate. But I was also thinking about, do you think that Jonas and Talisca
Can coexist.
can coexist in the same lineup?
Well, the one thing that we've seen with teams like Barcelona and other teams that don't have that prototypical 9, I think Benfica could absolutely play Jonas up top as the lone guy and just have him kind of like play off of Talisca, and Talisca's a guy that played forward a little bit, that played whatever. I think that they could all intertwine with him with one another, and I think that they could all do a great job. So if they go that way, that's just because again, man, I think Jonas is a hell of a player.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope he is. I mean, I don't wish bad for the guy. I mean, he's definitely a couple levels above everybody else, but it was against Couvert, man.
But you could see though, Alfredo, just
No, you can't.
you, Steve.
You
Thank you,
can't.
Steve.
I'm not saying that you can't.
the touch, like we like to say, é outra coisa. Like as soon as he brings it down, and you could tell it's a different kind of player that's out there compared to, other than Gaetan, there's nobody with that same type of first touch, that same type of ability on the ball on our team that I can think of anyway. Enzo's not like that.
And Steve, if you saw from the
It's
game,
Gaetan and him really.
if you saw from the game on Sunday, there was a lot of other passes that the guy attempted, a lot of 1-2 trivela, whatever that he attempted that his own teammates weren't able to trap. I think you put him with the first team, and he's able to do some of these plays and stuff like that. I think the guy is only going to get better for Benfica. I mean, listen, 4 goals in 2 games, I think that speaks volumes. I think that's pretty good. And I think he's going to find himself some playing time, because Derlei, this is a guy that I kind of liked a couple of things he did in the first half. I liked the way he was using his body. He was being very physical, fighting for position, and I like that, I have to be honest. But then once you've seen him with a little bit more time and the ball at his feet, you've really saw what this guy lacks. And that's feet. The guy has absolutely no type of control, no type of ginga in him. And that, combined with the fact that Lima hasn't scored many goals in the last 6-7 months, I do think that Jonas will find himself some pretty good regular playing time here with this Benfica squad.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If obviously Jonas will be available to play in the Europa League, if Benfica ends up dropping to the Europa League, or even if Benfica ends up going through the next round of the Champions League, Benfica will have a chance to submit another list of eligible players to the UEFA. My thing is that, does JJ keep the same formula up front, knowing that he's still got Champions League games to go, and those are the forwards that he has at his disposal, or does he put in Jonas on a permanent and just rotate a different guy when it comes to European competitions?
I think that's an answer that we'll know as of tomorrow. You'll see whether he plays Derlei and Talisca, and if Derlei clicks and starts scoring goals, you might not see Jonas so quick. But if he doesn't, then you might see Talisca and Jonas like Cristiano was saying on the weekend against Braga.
Man, I see, man. Both of you guys know what my opinion of Jonas is. I think whether Lima scores in the Champions League or not, that'll be great if he does, Steve. But like you said, it might delay Jonas playing time, the progress. It might delay the decision to finally play him. I think the guy's too good. I think the guy like I mentioned on the podcast, I'll say it again. I don't think he came to Benfica knowing that he was going to have to fight for, not fight. That's not the wrong word, but not get the regular playing time. I think that they made him a promise he's going to get regular playing time, and at the end of the day, he's too good. I think he will force his way into the field by the way he performs at practices. Because I think the guy is lights out. Yes, we're not talking about a Cristiano Ronaldo here or Lionel Messi, guys, but for this Benfica team, the guy is an exceptional player. I mean, and we saw on Sunday, yes, it was Covilhã, but the rest of the Benfica team was playing against Covilhã, and none of them stood out the way he did.
Yeah. And just a quick recap on the game. We went up 1-0 in the third, in the basically 30 seconds of the game. We had a PK, and very clear PK, and we went up 1-0. Then 1-1. Covilhã scored in the 9th minute, tied it up. We went up 2-1.
They did.
No, they did went up 2-1, and then we ended up turning and winning 3-2 at the end. But Steve, and just a final thought to get away from this game. A lot of these guys that got the time, and I'm talking about Cesar, I'm talking about Benito, I'm talking about Bebe, I'm talking about Cristante, maybe perhaps to an extent, Pizzi to an extent. I mean, if these guys are to be used on a rotational level, why can't these guys get more minutes in the B team in order to have somewhat of a competitive rhythm? So when they're called up on these instances, they actually, they're not rusty. They could be more influential on this team.
Yeah, but what about the kids on the B team? It gets difficult to.
But wait, isn't the thing on a B team to prepare players to play for the A team? Isn't that the whole purpose?
It is, but there's got to be some sort of numbers game for how many players you can enlist for each team and whatnot. And I don't know if you can just take X amount of guys from who are enlisted in the A squad and bring them down to play in the second division.
Let Cesar play in a B team. Let Cesar start in the B team, just like Jardel and Steven Vittoria. There you go, Steven Vittoria.
I don't think the guy gets brought up every show. I don't think Cesar will be playing for a little bit. No, that's just my opinion, especially after what happened the other day.
Cristiano, what happened with Cesar?
I don't know. I mean, none of us obviously know the real truth, but to me, I think he got fatigued and he wanted out of the game, and Jorge Jesus was like, "No, my man, you're not coming out of the game." And then he probably picked up a knock somehow and kind of, try to force his way off the field. And they told him he was in. I don't understand what happened there at the end. I mean, Steve, you recall they started arguing. They're talking about Jesus changing the sub, but I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened. But I don't think that this guy will be playing in the near future.
It was strange. He went down. He called out to the medical staff that he needed to come out. Then you see JJ on the sideline just with his arms going absolutely berserk.
Like, no way, you're staying on. You're staying on.
That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. After a guy, of course, JJ really only had Lindelof in the bench to come on, but nonetheless, it's a very curious game, and I wonder if this kid is going to be screwed, man.
I think so. I think Jorge Jesus is a guy that we've seen in the past, unless you're a key player, that he holds grudges. And right now, Cesar's not a key player, guys. So I think we should expect some shortage of playing time.
Yeah. So 3-2, the result that was expected, but I didn't expect to give up 2 goals to Covilhã, second division team. Nonetheless, with the guys that we played with, maybe it was a little bit expected. So. Anyway, I'm glad we're in the next round. I'm also glad that we won't have to play Porto.
Thanks to Jonas.
On our on our way to the final, which is always a good thing. So we'll see what happens in the next round. Turning our attention to the Champions League now. Benfica match day 3 will happen this Wednesday, tomorrow in France in the
Principality of Monaco.
Principality of Monaco against Monaco. And must-win game for Benfica. Cristiano.
Oh, absolutely. It is a must-win game, and I think that if Benfica has any aspirations of moving forward, they have to come away with the 3 points. And this is a team that, in my mind, is beatable. A team that is not the same Monaco team of the previous years with, Jaime or James. I like to call him James Rodriguez, Falcao, whatever. Moutinho has not been his usual Moutinho. So I do think Benfica has a chance to go out there and pick up the 3 points. But again, if we go out there and perform the way we've performed so far in the Champions League this year, I would not be surprised as well if we came away, if we came out of there with a defeat.
Yeah, and I'll give you some quick stats real quick. Monaco domestically, 10th place, 14 points, 4 wins, 2 ties, 4 losses at home, 2 wins, 1 tie, 1 loss, 5 goals scored, 4 goals allowed at home this season. So not a team that's very stingy with their defense. I'll give you the 21-player roster that traveled to France today. And goal, Artur Lopes and Varela. Defenders, Lisandro Luizão, Maxi, Eliseu, and Cesar. Midfielders, Samaris, Gaetan, Enzo, Salvio, Gonçalo Guedes, Cristante, Talisca, Pizzi, Thiago, or Bebe, Andre Almeida, and up front there, Lei Lima and Oliveira. 21 players, only 18 players will dress, and obviously probably 1 goalie will sit, and 2 midfielders will sit. I don't think JJ will part with the 3 forwards that he took to France. Steve, break this Monaco down for us, man.
Oh, well, so Monaco is a very typical Leonardo Jardim team. They're not super adventurous, very compact. You'll always see that they always try to keep a balanced number of players behind the ball, even when in possession. Both of their fullbacks won't bomb on. They'll let the guy on the left that right now I can't remember his name.
Pierre.
They'll let him go a little bit further up. But their right fullback does not attack half as much as their left one does. What I really think that they have an advantage over Benfica is they have a pretty good chemistry in midfield. They have a very typical defensive midfielder, or Trinquin Tulalan. They have an energetic box-to-box in Kongdobia.
Isn't that a guy? Hold on, let me ask you. Isn't that a guy that Benfica tried to sign from Atletico Madrid, or
No. You're getting him mixed up.
Okay.
Kongdobia was at Sevilla at one point.
Yeah, that's the guy that Benfica tried to sign, I believe.
No, the guy that they were after, I can't get his name right.
The guy that ended up somewhere else.
He ended up going to Germany.
Yeah,
Okay.
Germany. You're right.
Was French as well, but it's a different player. So they got.
It started with a G. Guilho Villa, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
That's very good French.
Very nice.
We should go to Toronto just because of that French.
There's not much French speaking in Toronto. Just so
Whatever,
you
it's
know.
Canada. We got to use it when we go across the border, okay? All right, don't worry about it.
The funny thing is the guy who's probably not really fitting into this midfield is Mr. João Moutinho. I think João Moutinho likes to play a little bit further back, more as an 8 than he does as a 10, and it seems like in this current Monaco side, he's got a lot of the responsibility to create, where in previous years at Porto, we always had Lucho to be more of that more attacking player, that guy who plays the final ball and whatnot. Moutinho's more of a guy who likes to make sure he wins the ball and keeps it, not so much the one who likes to play the through balls and whatnot. So I think if anyone's missing out on this midfield chemistry, it's probably Moutinho. But even then, on the way they build the ball up from the back, it's really nice to see how all 3 of them are very comfortable on the ball. So they rotate a lot off of who picks up the ball off the center backs, and they rotate between the 3. So it makes it difficult to press them on the way out.
Steve, I think it's safe to say that Moutinho is more comfortable playing in the Kondobia position, which is the relatively for those guys listening at home and trying to get an idea of what it is exactly that we're trying to say, which is that prototypical number 8 position. And now you have Moutinho playing a little bit more advanced and trying to create. And we've seen him from the national team where that's not exactly his game.
And he gets less attention also when he plays further back, where he could step into different sectors of the team. The first level of construction as well as the second level of construction.
Definitely. I think if anyone's missing out, it's him. And I think they're really missing James Rodriguez because he used to come in off the flank last year and kind of play that 10-ish role, and it worked better than the way it is this year. The other guy that they have that some people love him, some people hate him, I call him the poor man's Ibrahimovic.
I love him. I love Berbatov.
Who's the guy?
Berbatov. I love him. The guy could score some of the craziest goals in the history you'll ever see, and he can miss some pretty bad sitters.
And he's going to be available. It's already been confirmed that he's going to be available.
It looked like he was going to miss the game, but he looks like he's going to make it now from the latest news reports. Berbatov just really floats around, looks disinterested most of the game, but then he picks up the ball with like that lovely touch and he can play in the attacking wingers, that Ferreira Carrasco guy who I think is Belgian. Portuguese.
He's from Belgium, but is he Portuguese?
I believe.
Ferreira. He's not named after Vinho do Porto. I mean, you like to think he's named after.
What a name like Carrasco too.
And Ferreira.
But
that's a radio announcer's wet dream to have a guy like Carrasco score a goal against Benfica.
Don't even start about scoring goals against Benfica. The other player that we all know and love, Bernardo Silva, who's at Monaco, stated today that if he scored against Benfica, he would not celebrate. But that's
obviously
so fantastic.
Nothing that you wouldn't expect. I'm wondering if he even gets to play.
I think he might. You know what?
I don't know, man.
I think Jardim.
Smart.
I think forget the smart. I think Jardim is aware of the situation. I think Jardim, being Portuguese, understands that this kid grew up at Benfica,
smart, man.
and I think he's going to give him a chance to live out his dream, which is
smart
to try. Because say what you want about Bernardo Silva.
It'll be smart, man.
This guy is we understand it's smart. We got the smart part.
It's smart,
but this is a kid that say what you want. He might say all the right things, which is great, which shows you the guy's mentality, shows you his maturity. But I don't give a crap what he says. We all know the guy was nothing more than to score a hat-trick tomorrow against Benfica to prove them and show them, like, toma lá.
That's smart.
That's smart.
That's what I'm talking about. No,
but the flip side of the coin is how much pressure he puts on himself in a situation.
No, there's no pressure, dude.
I think if you're a professional,
pressure.
You're a professional. You have to get accustomed to these situations, and you have to be able to face pressure. And right now is a chance from Jardim. I think he plays. I think he absolutely plays tomorrow.
There's no pressure.
There's no doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts.
I think his plays because his beef is not against Benfica. His beef is against JJ. That's where his beef lies. He has nothing against Benfica.
Steve, I think
but he wants to go out there and prove to JJ that I could be playing on this team. Whether I'm first, second, or third choice off the bench, I should be getting some burn, as my man Cristiano here likes to say, on this team. And that's what he's going to be out to do. It has nothing against who he's playing with, sentimental value or not. This kid is going to be pumped to play and to show why he should have stayed at Benfica. Look, I've been in the same position. I've played against teams that passed up on me, and I had ultra motivation. And we've seen throughout the years and through history of ex-players that have reached deeper inside and to have that motivation to play against ex-teams. We know that's a huge factor, and I think Jardim will play it.
I did it one time, and I scored 2 goals. But besides the point, Steve, I think he gets a start tomorrow. I think Jardim will show to be a player's coach, and I think the rest of his teammates will try to perform above their average. I mean, not above their average, but I think that they will step up to try to back up their teammate and show them that, look, this is the type of kid that you could have played on your team. And what better way to get in with your players, Steve, by playing them at the right situations at the right time. And I think he does. I would not be surprised if he gets a start tomorrow.
I'm telling you, he's going to get the start. Steve, what do you think Benfica has to do in order to win this game against this Monaco team that you've scouted out? What do you think some of the main weaknesses are?
I remember that left back's name now is Kurzawa.
Kurzawa. He's the guy. I don't know if you guys recall last week when they were playing the under 21s. He tried to. They scored against who? I forget who it was.
The Swiss.
Swiss, and he kind of like did one of these.
The Swedes.
And then when they scored, they took the lead 1-0, and the Swedes scored 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And so he made world news just based on his little antics right there.
Yeah, but he looks pretty good. But I don't know if he can deal with the one-on-one ability of Salvio. So if we can isolate Salvio 1v1 versus with him, I think we could get something out of that guy. I also don't think Carvalho's center back pairing Raji, however you say his name.
Raji.
I don't think he's that good. I have a lot of confidence in Carvalho, where I guess in this state I'm actually a little bit worried about Carvalho because he's on the opposite team. But the other guy, I think if we were to try to pinpoint him more than Carvalho, we could probably get something out of him. The midfield is what scares me, and I know I was supposed to talk about positives, but Jesus has this stubbornness that he goes to the Champions League every year and he doesn't play a 3-man midfield, and he always gets outnumbered. And we're gonna get
man. He's the next Rivaldo.
Yeah, but
no, the next Rivaldo has been found completely useless in the Champions League so far. So I don't know. I think, especially if Bernardo plays, he comes in off the left flank and makes a fourth guy in the midfield versus R2. We're gonna have trouble there.
I think the 3 keys to the victory tomorrow for Benfica, all things going well for them, is one, they have to take advantage of that left wing, which is Gaitan on our left wing, and take advantage of their right defender, like you said, Steven, and Raji, the right center back, because I have a lot more confidence in Ricardo Carvalho than I do in this Raji guy. So that's key number one. Number two, I think Benfica needs to possess the ball, and like Steven said, needs to take control of that midfield. If Benfica is able to do that and keep the ball away from Lalan, Kondogbia, and Moutinho, and let them, where these guys don't run free in the midfield and try to create stuff, I think Benfica has a good chance. And the other thing that is crucial in this game, based on what's happened with Monaco here, which is set pieces. If Benfica is going to score, it's going to have to be on set pieces, because if Benfica is going to go out to the municipality of Monaco with the idea that they will counterattack, this is a team that's only given up 2 goals this season on counterattacks. So I think it's going to be crucial. Okay, crucial that Benfica takes advantage of the set pieces. And one thing that hinders these Portuguese teams is the fact that we're relatively small, man. Pretty much the whole lineup, with the exception of center backs, is short. So that hurts us on set pieces. But those are the 3 keys in my mind to the victory tomorrow in Monaco for Benfica.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a great shout in there. We have a certain Lisandro Lopez who's awesome at getting on the end of set pieces, and he's due to score a goal at some point. Maybe tomorrow will be the day.
He did get beat on a set piece this weekend, though, just to mention that. But it happens.
On the attacking side, he's very good. On the defending side, not so much.
Yeah, he's better than Jardel, that's for sure.
Yes, and Jardel, I think, has just been cleared. Cleared, meaning he's not going to play, right?
Anyway.
Jardel, Julio Cesar, and someone else returned to practice. Hold on, I got in my notes here. Julio Cesar, Jardel, and Jara. Well, I don't even know why Jara's back healthy. You should just go back and say he's injured, because he does not deserve to play.
Yeah. Steve, you want to get a shot at starting 11? Seems pretty straightforward.
Ours is pretty easy, I'd say. Artur, Maxi, Luizão, Lisandro, Eliseu, Samaris, Enzo, Salvio, Gaitan, Talisca, and Derlei.
What do you think, Chris?
Before I go off on my prediction, is Lima healthy?
Wait, Jonas can't play.
I understand.
Can't play.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. Is Lima healthy?
Because I do not believe so.
Was Lima?
He made the trip. He made the trip.
Okay, if Lima's healthy, Lima's going to get the start over Derlei, because Derlei is not showing me any reason as to why I should play him. So, goalkeeper, Jules says not available. Artur, Grey Artur. Right? Obviously, the defense, I think, is pretty much easy because of all the injuries. Maxi, Lilo, Jardel, and Eliseu Barrigudo is back.
Jardel.
I mean Jardel. Luizão. My bad. Luizão. I'm sorry, guys. Luizão and Barrigudo's back at left back tomorrow. Samaris, Enzo, Gaitan, Salvio, and Rivaldo, okay, with Lima up top. I think that's tomorrow's starting lineup.
Yeah, I know. I don't think it's going to be too far from that, unless
Too far from that. I mean, what do you think it's going to be?
I don't think, unless he feels that Lima is not yet ready to go. But if he made the trip, it's because he's ready to go. Otherwise, I would probably see Derlei in there. But I'm seeing a lot of difficulties for Benfica in midfield, especially Benfica playing with the so-called two-man midfield. I know that Gaetan can pinch in the middle. I know that Rivaldo can also pinch in the middle just in case. But I'm seeing a lot of issues, regardless of whether Moutinho is playing at the top or not.
But let me ask you guys a question, and Steve, please answer this. What other options does Benfica have for that midfield right now? Fesha is hurt. Mourinho is hurt. They don't really have a lot of central midfielders left right now that they could actually play in games like these, do they?
Yeah, you could play Pizzi. You could play Cristante.
Pizzi's not ready. Cristante's not ready. These guys aren't ready, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, if you want to add that guy to the midfield,
yeah, but then you could add me in there for 15 minutes. I could run. Then the rest of the 75 minutes, I'll walk. That doesn't mean anything.
I think that if you put Cristante at a higher position alongside with Enzo, I think that.
So who do you take out?
It's funny. I don't.
That's the whole problem.
I don't agree. Well, you would have to take out Talisca, really.
Yeah, but Rivaldo's playing, guys. Come on, Rivaldo has to play.
That's the whole problem.
Talisca's not coming off.
3-3 Rangers. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The only way I could maybe see it happening would be putting Gaetan in a proper midfield position, more like a 10, and putting somebody on the left wing. But since Olajan went down, that leaves you Pizzi. Maybe. I still don't see it. I don't see it. The lineup
not
is
playing tomorrow, guys.
Not
even. I don't even think he makes the 18. But go ahead.
The lineup is.
There's Gonçalo Guedes.
Guedes is not. If Guedes starts tomorrow in the Champions League, wow.
You know what that means? If Guedes starts tomorrow.
What's that mean?
Jorge Jesus is saying, you know what? I could give two craps about the Champions League football, and I'm only worried about the Campeonato. That's what it means. Because if he comes out with a lineup like that,
he's already done.
He could say it. He could say all he wants, but listen. At the end of the day, you have that one thing inside you, which is the competitiveness. And I think Jorge Jesus does not want to go out there and lose to Jardim, of all people, a guy who he's pretty much shitted on throughout most of his career. He doesn't want to go out there and lose to Leonardo Jardim. I'm sorry. He's not. So I think, therefore, you're going to see Gaetan on the left. You're going to see Rivaldo in the middle. Because Gaetan, say what you want about Gaetan, he has to play. And tomorrow, it's part of one of my keys. It's one of my 3 keys. Yeah. Gaetan will eviscerate, whatever the word is, will kill Fabinho tomorrow. And that's the way Benfica will have to attack, which is down our left flank, and take advantage of their weak right defender.
I agree. Anyway.
The question is, Steve,
predictions?
Do you agree, Steve?
Let's go with a prediction. We've never done this before.
Steve never agrees with me. I'm trying to see if he finally agrees.
I agree with you that Gaetan's the key. I also agree that there's no way anybody but Talisca is going to play, so we're going to play a 4-4-2-ish shape.
Yeah. Prediction, Cristiano.
Man, I'm leaning towards a 2-1 scoreline, but I think that's making me a homer because there's nothing that should lead me to believe that Benfica will be able to go off, on the road in the Champions League and pull off a victory. But right now I'm leaning towards a 2-1 scoreline. I hope I'm right. And so, I'm hoping it's not my Benfiquismo that's making me make that pick.
I'm going to go with a 1-1. Steve?
Wow, me and Cristiano are agreeing a lot this week. I just do not want to be negative. That's what it comes down to. And I think
you don't have to be negative. Just be truthful.
Realistic.
Truthfully, I think 1-0 Monaco.
Okay, well, that's the one. That's what we're asking.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to be a fan, and that's why I said I see a 2-1 Benfica because I don't really have much respect for this Monaco team, but unfortunately, they do have a couple of difference makers. And the one thing that they do have is, like you mentioned, Steve, Berbatov. He gets a chance, he's going to tuck it in. He's going to tuck it in the back of the net.
Yeah, I'm seeing a 1-1.
Steve says 1-0 Monaco.
1-1, and with 1-1, I think we'll definitely be out. We could say goodbye, depending on the Zenit result, obviously, but I think that 1-1 it practically pushes away from.
As long as we don't lose by a face ball penalty call in the 96th minute, I'll be all right.
Yeah, and just to finish up, I'll a face ball.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Or a shin ball.
No, I don't want to give it. Steve hasn't scored. Steve hasn't watched today's game, so I don't want to give it away.
Oh,
but it has to do with today's games.
I haven't watched that either.
Anybody at home listening and watching, and probably by the time you watch this, you'll have understood what exactly it is that I'm trying to do in the jab I'm trying to give to someone. So.
Yeah, I will just run you down the classification so far. Zenit 4 points, +2 on goal differential. Monaco 4 points, +1 on goal differential. Leverkusen 3 points, +1 on goal differential, and Benfica 0 points, -4 on goal differential. So that's gonna be. We definitely have a hard task ahead of us. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm obviously hoping for a win as a fan, but realistically, I don't know, man. I don't know, and
this team's just not good enough for Champions League.
I don't know. I'm with you on that, Steve. And look, and a perfect segue into the next segment. We got a very important 3-4 weeks ahead of us. We're at Monaco. Then the next game is at Braga, which we're previewing. Then we host Rio Ave. We host Monaco, and we go to Nacional. 5 very important games in our season.
Frequent flyer miles will go up.
5 very important games that one will dictate how we fare in European competition, and the other one, I mean, our advantage over Porto is not that big, and huge games. Braga especially, and we'll go right into it. We'll play Braga this Sunday, 8:15 local. Braga is currently 6th, 11 points, 3 wins, 2 ties, 2 losses is their record. At home, 3 wins, no losses. They are the only team who have yet to surrender any points at home. Have 8 goals scored at home, only 1 goal allowed. And from the history that we've had when we travel to Braga, whether it's power outages, whether it's lighters being thrown, whether it's Cardozo being thrown out in the locker room or in the tunnel, weird things happen at Braga. We have a very, very tough game at Braga this weekend, Cristiano.
Yeah, this is a team that has not been the same dominant Braga team that we saw a couple seasons ago, but nonetheless a team that could possess a lot of trouble for teams like Benfica. And like you mentioned, going out to Minho is not easy because for some reason or another, maybe the fact that they're from the north, I guess, I would tend to guess, these people in this team hates Benfica for some odd reason. So it'll be very, very tough for Benfica to come away with the points. But you know what? I have confidence. I think Benfica has enough firepower on their squad to come away with a victory here in Braga.
You think we have enough firepower with the lack of goals?
Absolutely,
from our forwards.
Remember, Jonas will be able to play.
Okay, you're counting on Jonas.
Of course, the guy's a machine. He's got 4 in 2 games for Benfica. How could you not remember?
Steve, I'll give you the record, Benfica's record on the last 10 fixtures at the Pedreira. 3 wins, 5 losses, and 2 ties. And of course, that includes some Portuguese Cup game in there that we lost by penalties. But Steve, not an easy game by all means. Perhaps the hardest game of the season so far for Benfica at Braga.
Sporting at home wasn't tough.
I do believe we played Sporting. I think that's a little bit of a jab.
At home? At home? Come on.
Still.
I mean, if it wasn't for
Sporting at home,
if it wasn't for Artur Beef, we would have.
Who's Sporting?
That game.
What the hell is Sporting?
Sporting.
Yo, I gotta go look outside, make sure nobody's coming down my steps here to get us. But no, Steve, go ahead, Steve. Give us some of your great scouting reports because I gotta tell you, man. I'm one of these guys. I've fallen in love with your scouting reports here over the last couple of weeks. I'm just being honest. I'm thinking about starting a whole new website just called Steve's Scouting Reports because you're just phenomenal. I'm being serious. I'm not even joking.
I believe you.
Somebody's actually starting a Twitter account right now. It's called Steve's Chalkboard.
Listen, if you're smart, you would do it. If you were smart, you would absolutely be doing this right now because that would be an absolute can't miss. Steve Santos from we won't even say Toronto, Canada, because you lose
chalkboard.
Yeah, Toronto, Canada, you lose respect. Steve Santos.
Steve's chalkboard.
That's it. Chalkboard.
So
you and Mourinho are at the same
chalkboard. On my chalkboard, I see a certain Sergio Conceição that we're going up against, and if you want to call Sergio Conceição something, he's one very tough SOB, and all of his teams have always been very, very competitive. Don't allow a lot of space. Very intense, just like the player he was, just like the man he is. So you add that with some pretty decent players on the squad. You have Custódio, who's a good defensive midfielder. You have Alan, who's moved back from a right wing position more to a.
Been there forever.
I know he's been there forever, but now he's moved
You
back
gotta cut
into-
those dreads. Did he cut those dreads yet?
No,
I think they weigh him down.
that's probably why he's lost a lot of his pace. If he were to cut him, he might
Probably,
be able to
yes.
run a little bit faster. So you got Alan in midfield, and then you got the new recruit from Vitória de Setúbal, Pedro Tiba,
Yeah.
who plays on the left side of Custódio.
You know,
Nice.
steam, but
It's Tiba, not Pimba.
oh my bad.
But Tiba's a nice player. He could kind of play on the flank, or he can play as an 8. He's got a nice skill set, 2 good feet. I like him.
That's the kid that got called up to the national team, correct?
Correct, and he's a very late bloomer. I think he played in the second and third division up until he was like 23 or 24 years old. Nice player. Up front is where he's got on the flanks. He's got a bit of options. He's got Rafa, who I think he's going to play on the left to cut into the middle and make an extra man in midfield, just like many teams do. The other side is where I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's got Pardo, a Colombian guy who's very fast and good down the flank. But then he's also got Sami. I don't know if you guys remember Sami from Marítimo. Very fast player who's given us a lot of headaches over the years and is actually a former Benfica player. He was with us in the junior level, if I remember right. The one part that's probably not going to worry Cristiano much is more than likely they're going to play either up front as the center forward.
Yeah.
That relieves me.
That's
What about
probably
Javan, Steve? Javan.
Javan's going to start at left back, I'd assume.
I would think he will, man.
That's the guy that Benfica signed and loaned out before he ever put on the uniform, right?
They sold him. They sold him out.
That's exactly what
They
happened.
sold him, outright sold him.
Yeah.
So they signed him on the free, and they made a profit.
Of
Sounds like a
million-
used car. What is it? A car sells a used car salesman. That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
No,
For
they,
a million
they sold
$1
him.
million euros, I believe they sold him for.
Hey, that's good profit.
Never
Better-
touched the ball.
That's a 1,000,000% profit. That's great. You should be on the show Hell's Kitchen or like The Prophet or something. That was great. That was great.
Profit.
That was great profit by them. Sign a guy for free and sell him for $1 million. I mean, wow, that's, I don't even know what to say about that. Seriously, all joking aside. Vai lá, Steve, continua.
Não há mais para dizer?
Okay, so I'll go. So you think Benfica will have a hard time over that beautiful stadium in the middle of the rocks in Minho on come Sunday?
Absolutely.
No, you're not.
I think it's going to be our most difficult away trip in the league so far. That's what I think it's going to be.
Okay, but what's your prediction?
1-1.
Yeah, I'm with Alfredo on that. I think it's 1-1. I think we're going to drop points.
I think it'll be 1-1 until Jonas comes into the game. Then he
Oh, lá
scores.
vai este gajo. Lá vem este gajo com o Jonas. Olha, lá este gajo.
I'm joking, guys.
I hope,
Be
I
interesting.
hope you're right, man. I hope you're right.
Let's be right for our sake.
I hope he
you're right.
starts. I'd like to see this false 9 or whatever you want to call it with Jonas and Talisca. I'd like to see it. So let's see it. Let's hope he starts with Talisca.
I don't know if he starts, but I do think that if he doesn't start and things are a little bit tough, like you guys are both predicting, I think there will be, without a doubt, the guy will be into the game
But how do
real
you
soon.
not start Jonas at this point?
because you want that prototypical number 9 right now. I think if Lima plays well tomorrow or Derlei plays well tomorrow, I think there's a great chance that those guys start because you want that prototypical number 9. But I think if they both struggle tomorrow, it's going to be very tough for JJ to turn around and say, you know what, I got this guy here that could change the game with a second, with any type of movement, with a touch, with a simple 1-2. And he not just could Jonas finish a result here, not could he just put the ball in the back of the net, but Jonas is a well-rounded playmaker, a guy that could set other people up. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be tough for this guy to be on a bench during the campeonato.
And he could score goals even with his chin.
Listen, the important thing, and Steve, I think we will agree on this once again, is to get in the back of the net. Who could care? I mean, I could care less how they put it in.
Face
what the
ball
game
or
is.
something like that.
That's what the game's about, is scoring goals.
I don't know. I think it's very hard to leave Jonas out. But you're right. He might be the first choice off the bench.
I'm sure he'll play
I
at some
think,
point.
yeah, still, dude. If he doesn't play, I think he will. I mean, without a
But
doubt,
you
he'll
could
be the
al-
first choice
but
off
you-
the bench.
But you could also make a case that Talisca plays midweek, which we expect him to play.
Uh-huh.
Why not give Jonas the burn?
Because, like we've mentioned many times, Talisca is your next meal ticket.
Yeah, but
They will throw this guy out there as long as the guy is healthy and he's not tired.
Okay.
He's not pulling a Sterling from over there in Liverpool. He's not complaining about being tired. He will absolutely play.
All
And
right.
the guy's been lights out. Say what you want. He leads the league in goals.
But let's say, and we've kind of gotten a little preview of this, that JJ really considers the league to be his main priority. So if he's going to play Talisca in Europe, obviously, if Jonas has just scored a hat trick against Couvillon or whoever we played,
They look like junior sport.
you know, why not give Jonas a start and sit Talisca?
It's a valid point, a fair argument. Let's see what happens.
Listen, like Steve said, you make a great point. But if Talisca has a decent game tomorrow, even if he doesn't have a decent game, I think Talisca starts, guys. I think the question mark here will be if the two strikers, whichever one of them plays, if those guys play up to par. If they both struggle tomorrow against Ricardo Carvalho and whatever Fugir or whatever his name is, okay. Ragi, Fuji, same thing. Okay, if they struggle against both of those guys tomorrow, I think there's a great chance that he doesn't play with that prototypical 9. But right now, I just see a Jorge Jesus that since he's been here, he's always played with that 9. He's always played with that lone striker. Yes, we saw the change from a Cardozo, a guy who was stationary, a guy that wasn't as mobile as Lima, but we've seen from day one. Jorge Jesus has always tried to implement a striker with movement, a guy that could create other plays, a guy that could come back, get the ball, turn, and go. And Jonas is that guy, but Jonas has never really been a number 9. He's more of a number, that number, not a number 9. The single strike. He's more of the second striker, a guy that could come back, get the ball in the midfield, and could create plays. So that's why right now I'm up in the air as to, if he will start up top alone.
I don't know, man. I think that Jonas has a good chance of starting on at Pedreira, to be honest with you. But we'll see. I think that's about it.
That's it? We don't want to go over the Champions League scores today?
No.
Guys, this is an inside joke. Steve's still yet to watch the games, and he wants to go, real quick so he can watch the game. So I'm trying to ruin it for him.
Right. So
It's all love, Steve. All love.
I think that's about it. Please don't forget to check out our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk.
Epa.
BenficaPodcast.com is the website where you can find this podcast. Steve, your Twitter, bro.
At Steve Santos 6.
Oh, wait.
Next week we gotta make a promise to talk a lot less about Jonas, unless he scores another
It's
hat trick.
freaking Cristiano, man. He's got his man crush as freaking Jonas. I much rather talk about Steven Vittoria than Jonas.
And I'd rather talk about Cristante than Jonas, but
I'd rather talk about Cesar than lá vem este gajo.
Olha.
For those of you who are watching this, Cristiano's holding up a sign.
You gotta go closer.
Estás a ver aí.
Oh, it's a sign saying his Twitter handle.
Yeah, in case you guys don't
It's
shout me out.
reversed, dude. It's reversed.
No, it's not.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it
not.
is. To us, it looks
To us,
reversed.
but Steve, how does it look?
At 10CO10.
It looks great.
Beautiful.
Look at that. You see my man with the goggles?
Well
Scuba
done.
diver. See that? I thought about this for 3 months, and I finally got it done. So, yeah. This is a little project.
At Steve Santos 6, at 10CO10 is where you can find both Steve and Cristiano Oliveira. Me at Benfica Podcast.
And let's give a shout out.
And a shout out, we're
Big Soccer Head podcast.
That's right.
Check us out. We just
we
we
can't
got
forget
all new. This was you got to see it, guys. You definitely got to check it out because it has all the latest technology. You have to see this Twitter account. It's absolutely amazing. 3D, everything. Dragons, eagles, lions, everything just coming out of it. So you check it out. Big Soccer Head podcast where you catch some of my other BS work.
And coming up this Thursday, both Eric Krakauer and Cristiano will be at it again. On YouTube is where you can catch them and catch
So nice.
their
You didn't have to do all that.
podcast. And last week they had a British guest, which adds to their credibility.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe it.
I haven't had a British guest yet, even though
Yes, we have.
our British guest actually has an American accent.
No,
Maybe I
we
should-
have. We have.
Wait.
Pete.
I mean, we have international.
Who do
Okay, we got guys from
who do we
Australia.
have as a British guest? Steve?
Pete, the
Pete
Tottenham
from
and
Australia.
Benfica fan.
The guy with
Oh
the,
yeah, that's right.
with the red tie.
That's right. All right, then we're credible again. Sorry about
Is it the
that.
guy with the red tie that was taking off his
No.
clothes every chance?
No,
Is
that's
no,
Pedro.
that's
His
from
name's Pete.
Australia.
Pedro from Australia.
Australia.
And you said Pete. What's the difference, Pete and Pedro?
Now, Pete Domican. We're talking about Pete Domican, our Benfica and Spurs fan, which
Poor
we
guy.
love him.
At least he's got Benfica. He roots for.
He's definitely credibility to our show. And we had Laura also. She's in the UK. But,
Laura, that's right, the Benfiquista and the
she-
Liverpoolian.
She doesn't really have a British accent per se, but always nice to hear her.
Hi, what's up? Well, go on, keep going.
Anyway.
Don't mind me.
So that's about it. Next week we'll be back, same time, same bat channel as always. We will break down the Braga game. We'll break down the Monaco game, and we'll look ahead to the Rio Ave game. I think that's who we play next.
How do you guys say Rio Ave?
Rio Ave. Ela tua terra,
Rio
man,
Ave.
não é?
No.
No,
Não é?
What's wrong with you,
no,
bro?
it's further north, man.
Further north?
Steve. I mean, what would we do without Steve?
Yeah.
If it was up to me, I'd say yeah. But Steve, guy knows
Steve
his,
Steve is like our Anthony Bourdain.
that's
Something like
that's
that.
a banging job.
All right, guys.
Steve, once again, it was a pleasure, my friend.
As always, same with
You
you,
too.
Christian.
And guys, listen, I got them T-shirts coming. We need to get this Benfica podcast up to 1,000. We're at 560. So,
You checked
as I
it?
would like to say, yes, I did. Of course, I was going to talk about it. I have to do my research. So, as I like to say, you guys are slaying. The Rangers win it in overtime. Fantastic. You have to get up to 1,000 followers if you want a Benfica podcast for free. And think about it. You don't even have to pay shipping and handling. But bad news is, if you piss me off and you take forever to get to 1,000, you're just going to have to pay the shipping and handling. More freebies.
All right.
Bye.
I'll see you next week. See ya.
See ya.